Hello, hello. So today God gave me this message, and it was given to me and confirmed. I got the message, but then I also had two memes in particular come across my newsfeed, my For You page, from two of the channels I'm subscribed to. Now, I don't want to say it's unique, but the Lord's message was original, and these memes were also original, and so I knew that it wasn't just happenstance, right? It was confirmation. So that was good. But yeah, so basically the Lord's confirming to me that there's two types of people that watch my channel or would come across my channel or that tune into prophetic channels. One is haters/stalkers sent from the devil, and the other group is those who are actually on the same journey as myself and others, other fellow chosen ones, other fellow Christians and believers, right? Because if you are into cooking, you're going to watch cooking videos. If you're into hairdressing, you're going to watch hairdressing videos. If you're into sports, you're going to watch sport videos. So of course, probably most likely those that are into Christian content are going to watch videos about Christian content. So the majority of people that come across my videos and videos such as mine in this category are typically, for the most part, believers. And I trust that the Lord sends those who need to come across my message to them, those who it'll resonate with, right? But of course, the Lord also allows our haters and stalkers to tune in too. Hey, boo-boo, hi. You're not incognito, you're not hidden. We know all about you. I have them, so do other fellow channels that I'm subscribed to. The devil sends them and the Lord lets them stay because the Lord is hoping that they can learn something along the way, right? But yeah, so with all that said, the message that the Lord gave me today was just a confirmation. So if you're on the same journey as me and my messages resonate with you, or messages like mine resonate with you, then hopefully this message will serve as clarity or confirmation or revelation to you as well, right? But what the Lord was telling me is that he just wanted to basically, it wasn't like a warning per se, but it was more or less just a reminder, I guess. I don't know what you'd say. Like he was just letting me know something, but reminding me of something at the same time. And okay, so I'm going to talk from like the context towards you, like the viewer, whoever comes across the video, but I'm also going to talk in the context of myself, like I do in other videos, just because it makes it easier to describe and explain. But like the Lord was telling me that where I'm at on my journey, I have reached a point where there's really nothing that can come towards me that, like, I'm basically untouchable spiritually at this point. And what I mean is that because I have the full armor of God on and I'm covered in the blood of Christ, I heard a fellow prophetic channel that I subscribe to mention this a few days ago in one of their words, and the Lord was kind of reiterating that to me. And the way that they had said it was that when you walk in the blood of the Lamb, the fear of man, like fellow man, goes away. You really have no fear of anything. Kind of like how when Daniel was in the lion's den with the lions, he didn't fear, right? When David was in the arena with Goliath, he didn't fear either. And so that channel had also, that other fellow prophetic voice had said that when you walk with the Lord, because as the scripture says, he doesn't give us a spirit of fear, but a power, love, and a sound mind, right? And so because David and Daniel believed in the Lord, they didn't have a spirit of fear in their circumstances. They actually had a spirit of power and of love and of a sound mind, right? A sound mind meaning that they, even though somebody is trying to rattle them or get under their skin mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically, it didn't penetrate the way that it would with someone who doesn't believe in God, right? And so that's the thing, is that these adversaries that go against you, they're not covered in the blood of Jesus. They're not covered in the blood of the Lamb. They don't have the relationship with God that you have. So they think, and because they're controlled by Satan, Satan knows that those who follow the Lord aren't in fear. So Satan knew that even though he sent lions at Daniel, they weren't going to touch Daniel spiritually or physically or mentally or anything. because he knew that Daniel was washed in the blood of the Lamb, and so was David, right? That even a big giant like Goliath wasn't enough. But had it been anybody else in the ring with Goliath, they would have been shaking in their boots. So would anyone in the lion's den, right? But God was saying that where I'm at, I'm like Daniel and David in the fact that the lions didn't touch Daniel, right? He was untouchable because of the blood of the Lamb. When the men that put him in the lion's den, when they went in the den after him, they were eaten up within minutes, but Daniel wasn't. And the only difference why was because the lions are the lions. They're hungry no matter what, right? And the devil was trying to get Daniel ate up. But because the blood of the Lamb was on Daniel, it wasn't possible. So therefore, Daniel didn't have fear in the lion's den. But the other men that put him in the den, they didn't have the relationship with God that he had. So therefore, they were like, oh, put him in the den, because that's something that they would have been terrified about, right? That was their fear. But Daniel wasn't fearful because he knew that God wasn't going to let anything happen to him, right? It's just like those that pitted Goliath against David. They thought, oh, this is David's doom, because they assumed that Goliath was going to have the upper hand, and that David would have been fearful because he was in the ring with Goliath, a big giant. Why? Because they would have been fearful if they were in the ring with Goliath as a giant, right? So God is saying that there's people around me and there's people around you, if this resonates, that have been doing certain things and think that if they continue to do certain things, or they're continually trying to up the ante to something else, trying to create ideas like lions' dens and giants and stuff to come against you. Why? Because they think, because they're ran by Satan, that that's something that would bother them. So what am I talking about? So say, for instance, there's people going against you, and one of their biggest fears is a ruined reputation. They don't want people talking bad about them. They don't want people gossiping about them. They don't want people slandering them, lying about them, making stuff up about them, talking smack about them, their reputation in the gutter. They don't like that. To them is a huge fear. And maybe you 5 years ago, that would have been a huge fear of yours too, right? So they're going off of the steam of what they fear and or what they think that you used to fear before you were washed in the blood of the Lamb. But they don't realize, because they're governed by Satan, that when you're governed by God and when you're around by God and washed in the blood of the Lamb, you don't fear the worldly things that the average Joe that doesn't have that relationship with God would fear. So one of their biggest fears is people lying and talking bad about them. So they go and do that about you, because they're like, well, I'm human and that would really upset me. You're human, that's going to get to you. But again, the devil knows, because the devil knows just like God does, who is washed in the blood of the Lamb. God knows the devil knows you're washed in the blood of the Lamb. So therefore the devil knows that that's not going to get to you. So originally, what God is saying is, originally when these people were doing this stuff, the devil was hoping that it would work. But the devil has long realized that these things, one, are not going to work, and two, they haven't worked. So not only are they not going to work in the present moment in the future, but they haven't worked in the past. So the devil knows when he's licked, right? And God has basically told the devil, no, not this one, not today. And so the devil knows that going against Daniel and David and yourself and those that are washed in the blood of the Lamb to the degree that you are, that walk as close with the Lord as you do, and that have the Lord's protection on them, such as yourself, the devil knows which ones are untouchable, right? So at this point, what the devil's doing is, because these people think that the devil is either on their side or they think the devil is on your side, but they don't understand that the devil's on nobody's side, right? That's how he works. So originally the devil tried to trap you, right, via these things that maybe once upon a time would have been fearful to you, or would be considered fearful to the worldly man, worldly woman. And because you're in and of the world, these are tried and true tactics that the devil operates out of every single day that get most people, right? So they were being tried on you. But because you were developing your relationship with the Lord didn't let these things get to you to the way that, like, for instance, maybe Daniel was a bit frightened being in the lion's den, but it didn't get to him the way that they were hoping it would, right? And the reason why is because God doesn't give the spirit of fear, but a power, love, and sound mind. So he gave Daniel power and sound mind enough to know, and through the love of God, that God loves Daniel enough that this isn't going to happen. Therefore, it gave Daniel power and a sound mind to know, hey, I could be in this den all day, all week, all month, whatever. There could be one lion, there could be 14. That's not going to come near me because I'm covered in the blood of the Lamb, right? Through God's protection. So the others that don't walk with the Lord notice that Daniel didn't have that fear about him that they would have had, right? But you can guarantee when the tables turned and when his adversaries got thrown in the pit after him, they were shaking in their boots, right? Compared to Daniel. Why was that? What was the difference? There were both humans with lions. It's because one was covered by the blood of the Lamb, therefore aka untouchable, and was untouched, and the other ones didn't have that blood on them, therefore they had the fear and they got ate up. They weren't untouchable, right? So when the devil was sending these people in the beginning, these tricks the devil thought might work on you, or was pulling out all the stops. But in time, the devil realized, hey, this isn't working. So for the last while now, it hasn't been working. So what the devil's been doing instead is trying to trap these people. Go back to the Daniel story. The devil had Daniel thrown into the pit, right? But it didn't work. He was saved by God, so therefore he was saved and spared. But then the people went in after him and they were ate up right away. That's a perfect analogy of what God is trying to say, is that you're like Daniel, where these in the den with the lions, and the lions being spiritual of these tactics, each lion represents something that they're trying to do against you, that the devil has sent them to do. Ruin your reputation, but you didn't care because you have not a spirit of fear, but a power, love, and sound mind. Try and make you lose things that, will make your family turn on you, will make your friends turn their back on you, will make your spouse turn their back on you. But you didn't fear or worry because you have a spirit of power, love, and sound mind, right? Just like Daniel. So each one of these proverbial lions that you've been in the den with each lion represents something, a tactic that the devil has been using these adversaries to do against you, thinking that this is going to work. Why? Because this would work on them, right? But because they don't walk with the Lord, they don't understand how it isn't working, because this will get the best of them, but it's not even touching you. It's not even bothering you at all whatsoever because of that protection on you from God, right? So what the devil's been doing is he wants someone to go down. He wants someone to perish and someone to hurt and someone to suffer. So therefore he was trying to make you be the one, but because God has made the message loud and clear to the devil that no, not you, not today, not ever, Satan has been basically betraying and backdooring and backstabbing these people that are going against you, and he's been throwing them into the pit with the lions. So you were once in this pit with these proverbial lions, which were their tactics, but you've proven through the power of God to the devil and to these adversaries that the lions aren't going to touch you. So what's happened now is you've came out of that den, and those who are going against you have been thrown into it. And it's because the devil wants somebody, right? The devil's not going to walk out of this scot clean. He's not going to go, well, I guess that's it for me, and off he goes. No, he needs somebody here. Somebody has to go down for this, because he's invested and he wants what's his, because he doesn't help anybody. So you were the original target, but because you walk so close with the Lord has shown that you're not going to be touched, period, point blank, period. So the devil is frustrated, so he's been for a while now throwing these people into the pit. So now they're going to deal with the very same quote-unquote lion/tactics that you had to deal with. And this is their biggest fear. So really, as a child of God and as a chosen one, you don't have to worry about these worldly tactics like a loss of money or a loss of reputation or a loss of a blessing, a loss of a spouse, a loss of family members, a loss of a social standing, a loss of this, a loss of that, a vehicle, whatever it may be. material possessions, emotional possessions, physical possessions, because the Lord has you covered and shrouded in a spirit of power and love and sound mind. So no matter what comes your way, good or bad, you're walking around with power, love, and sound mind. Whether it's a good season or bad season, power, love, and sound mind. Whether you're in a pit, in a ring with Goliath, in a pit, in a den, a pit like Joseph, or a den like Daniel, or arena with a giant like David, power, love, sound mind. That is what's covering you at all times, because you're covering the spiritual armor of God, right? So these people are now going to have to fight Goliath. These people are now going to have to contend with the lions. These people are now going to be in the pit, because the devil wants something, right? He doesn't move for free, work for free. So therefore, you were the original target once upon a time, but you're untouchable. So therefore, now they've become the target, right? And so again, going back to the meme thing, the Lord confirmed this to me. He gave me this message, and he confirmed it through these memes that we're talking about. Don't fear people or situation, because no matter what you do, you're powerless. And that's right, is that whether you're coming against people or you're coming against situations, you can't control people and situations. Only God can do that, right? So therefore, you're powerless. So if somebody doesn't want to be with you, you can't control that situation or that outcome or that person. So therefore, why fear that as a possibility, right? If you lose your job, you can't control that person's thoughts to let you go or that outcome, right? So, and when it'll happen, you can't control any of the variables. So therefore, why fear that possible outcome, right? You can't control what your family members think or do or say, or what people who were or are your friends think or do or say. You can't control what people think, what they do, how they feel, how they move. What situations they create, what attempts they do, how they calculate things behind your back, what they're trying to come up with, what they're trying to strategize. You can't control situations or people. That's God's department, and you know that. It's just like Daniel couldn't control that he was in the den with the lions. So he just stood there and gave all of the situation, the control and everything to the Lord, right? And we see that scenario and that position time and time again in the Bible, right? And so it doesn't matter what these people that come against you, it doesn't matter how big of a group it is, what tactics they try, what they steal from you, what they take from you, what things they sabotage, who they get to betray you, what they say on your name, what they talk about, how they move, if they're mad at you, if they're jealous of you, if they're trying to shame you, if they're, hateful of you, how their heart posture is, how their mindset is, whatever. None of this stuff is to be of any concern of yours, because they're only moving in the fears that they hold within themselves. And the only reason they hold fears within themselves is because they don't have a relationship with the Lord like you do. They're being puppeted by Satan, whether they realize it or not. And you don't have to worry as being the receiver of such things, because the Lord has you covered in a spirit of power, love, and sound mind at all times, no matter what, morning, noon, and night, every day, all day, right? So therefore, as Psalm 91 says, 10,000 may come at your right side, and 1,000 may fall at your right side, and 10,000 at your left, but none will come near you. So saying that it doesn't matter how many, you could have 10,000 things and men coming at your right, and 1,000 coming at your left, 20,000, 50,000, and none of it will come near you, right? You're covered in Psalm 91 protection. So I hope this blesses who it needs to bless. I hope it comes across who the Lord leads it to. I hope it finds you well. I hope it blesses you. Take care, and God bless.